So let's jump into why we started this podcast.
Cool.
I wanted
So
to.
why did we start this podcast?
Well, I remember there was one night where we were on the phone talking about Star Wars, and it was before The Force Awakens, even.
Yes.
And we were just talking about like everything that's possible, and you know, the hope of all of it. And I remember looking down and being like, bro, we've been on the phone for 3 hours, but it didn't even feel like that. And it was
it was like 15 minutes.
Yeah. Mavi hadn't been born. And, we really hadn't seen each other because you were living in McDonough. We hadn't seen each other in quite some time.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I remember just thinking this is an amazing conversation. And then at one point, I don't remember which one of us said it, but we were like, bro, this could totally be a podcast. And then, fast forward some time, we continued having these long form, I don't want to say drawn out because it sounds like such a knock on our conversation, but it's just,
right.
We can talk for a long time.
Right. The way our conversations go, I mean, we can start out talking about Star Wars, and we can end up in politics or mental illness or whatever it is. We can transition and we can pivot in our conversations so well. But it's just how we talk. It's just how the conversation flows.
Yeah.
And it's something that I think that I've had conversation with other folks before, but the way our conversations roll, I don't have conversations like this with anybody else.
No, only a very select few people. And
right.
Those are the people that I'd like to bring on here as well. But at the end of the day, when you were going through what you were going through, I was going through what I was going through recently. These conversations helped save my sanity. Our Friday night visits or whatever, when you came over. And I really truly believe that our stories have uniqueness, but they also have applicability that a lot of people can relate to. Everyone's experienced hardship and loss and failure and and bad and good relationships, and we're just not afraid to talk about it. I'm not afraid to put it out. I don't care if it's out in the world. Like, it's not like we're saying anything so outlandish where we're like, maybe we don't need to be putting this out.
Right. I think we've had that conversation many times. And that was probably one of the conversations that's almost like we should have had on a podcast.
Yeah, I remember.
It was just
I remember the conversation.
Yeah. But it was so pure. And I think that's the one thing, is that our conversations are so real. I think one of my ideas, issues, thoughts really is, how is it gonna flow? Having cameras in our face, certain angles, and
what
saying
camera?
this and doing that. But how is it gonna flow? But there's no hesitation, because it's all about your truth. It's all about being vulnerable. So I need to be myself.
Yeah.
And I think the best thing about this is that the passion that me and you have.
Yeah.
It's easy to talk about. It's very easy for one to be cocky, but it's very easy for us to be passionate and talk very, very confidently about what we know.
And this is all that is. It's
Right.
only what we know. It's not. This is our truth, right?
Right.
You can take it and like it or not. It doesn't matter. It's simply how we feel about life, how we're going through life, and what we've experienced. And if somebody can take it and benefit from it, wonderful. If not, wonderful. I don't.
Right.
It
Right.
doesn't make a difference to me. I remember watching one of the first, podcasts that we recorded, and I was like, man, I fidget a lot. And then I was like, maybe I don't need to fidget so much. But then I'm like, bro, I fidget. Like, that's what I do because
Right.
one, I can't sit still. Two, my back is always hurting. So I try to shift my weight and I try to get comfortable, and, I'm only comfortable for about 30 seconds and then I have to move. And, that's me. So I'm like, I'm not, if I were to try to focus on just, being well postured and mannered and,
Yeah, that's, I mean,
bro, that's
no,
not me, man. I'm
no.
not. So, we talked about authenticity. We talked about, if I want to say shit on the podcast, then I'm going to say shit. If I want to drop an F-bomb, then I'll drop an F-bomb when it's appropriate. But I think the more that we try to temper ourselves down to a certain social acceptance or a certain fit, then that's the minute when we teeter or verge off the authenticity scale. And I don't want to do that.
Right. It's like, when we're at work and we're talking to whoever, you have to kind of hold yourself to I'll say a certain standard, but there's a
Yeah.
certain language that you have to talk with and go through the motions and do that.
Yeah.
You're kind of that professional Till and professional Michael, and but here it's just being yourself.
Yeah.
And having the ability just to do that and not to hesitate.
Yeah.
Like, one of the things that I was super excited about when we were talking about starting this podcast and just doing this is just being open
Mhm.
and being vulnerable and being able to talk about things that are important to us, and I think the things that are important to us, a lot of other people is important to as well, so
I hope so. But if
no,
not, I don't care.
I believe it, but again, yeah, if it's not, then that's cool. It's going to be a conversation between us, and that's it. But it just excites me. It gets me kind of riled up because there's so many conversations that we've had, over the years that
Yeah.
are super passionate, and they're very deep and they're very next level, and there's levels of complexity that's in there
Mm.
that maybe I don't want to say the average person, but maybe there's somebody who hasn't thought that way, and this can enlighten them to be like, yo, I never really thought about it like that,
I mean, I said it on the other one that, that the way you tell your story matters. When I heard that, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It does matter. And then as I was going through it, I'm like, I like my story. When I tell my story to myself, even my failures or my, things where I made mistakes, I'm proud of those things. There's nothing that I would say I would be embarrassed about, period. So, yeah, I think it's interesting to have this conversation with the idea that, you know what, it's going up online. It'll be there forever, more than likely.
Yeah.
My kids will see it one day. My family will see it, but I'm okay with that.
Mm-hmm.
I really, like I said, I enjoy this so much. If this is all I could do, that's all I would do.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, that's not the case yet.
Well, we still got jobs. Still gotta work, gotta pay the
But
bills. So let me ask you this question.
hit me.
So going forward, what are some of the topics, ideas, things that you want to talk about going forward on the podcast?
There's so many. I want to talk about.
Name three.
Name three. Okay. Work ethic.
Okay.
How perception shapes your reality. And movies.
Good man. Good man. Yeah. Movies was definitely one of mine as well.
Because that perception shapes your reality.
I definitely want to talk about our story.
Yeah.
Movies. And I think for me, I just life, current events, things that happen in our lives in this world, and we talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, I think that in our challenging time that we have going on right now, there are tons of stories and there's tons of things that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's how we look at them, the perspective that we have, and how we see things from my perspective, your perspective, but how we talk about it, how we process it, how we can move forward, how we can have intelligent discussions on potentially things that will happen in the future that are going to be very challenging. We may not agree upon, and that's for everybody who's listening, who's watching, you know.
Yeah.
But in the end, can you listen to somebody else's opinion or idea and try to learn from it? It's very challenging to have a conversation with somebody who fundamentally you know that you don't agree with them. If it's something that's political or something that's religion based, it's very challenging. But to have a conversation amongst friends, people that you respect, and tend to listen to what they have to say versus, hey, I know how you think and I know what you believe. I'm not even going to listen to that. No, you know, hopefully in these conversations that we'll have moving forward, that we can give people an opportunity to listen, to truly listen and hear somebody else's opinion and maybe be enlightened and learn something, you know, because I think that's what it's about. There's a lot of stuff I've read. There's a lot of stuff that I listen to, and I try to learn every single day. I don't know everything. I'm not going to claim that I know everything.
You'll never know everything.
I might get pretty cocky with the way I sound sometimes, like I know it, but that's not fact. You know, that's not facts. But but yeah, I think that the conversations going forward, I think they're gonna be very interesting. But that's what I'm looking forward to: movies, our stories, and just life.
Bro, that's way more than three things. I get at least
There's
a do-over.
Right. Well, no. We're gonna keep it at three for right now because there's a ton of stuff more, obviously, that we could talk about and list that's on there. But those are the things that popped into our minds right now. Yeah.
I think you make a super good point, and I think not being able to have a conversation anymore and feeling like you're forced to either just keep scrolling, so to speak, because let's face it, arguing on social media, I heard this the other day. It said, if you get in an argument with somebody on social media, it's like choosing to step into dog shit. instead of walking around it. And I think we as a society have lost the fundamental ability to have a conversation and to disagree. So I think that's a very interesting concept, subject matter, and very nuanced idea. So I think that's great. I also think that we know a lot of really amazing people.
Yeah.
I mean, we have some of the most awesome friends and the coolest people in our lives that all have a different story. And I think, go ahead. Sorry.
No. With you saying that, like, we'll probably get in trouble for this. I know I will, but I mean, I want to, challenge, our friends and our family to become on, the
Yes.
podcast with us and have a conversation. Obviously, we want you guys to feel comfortable and all this and that, but this is something that we love. This is something that we enjoy, and we want to share that.
Absolutely.
So, Mom, Dad, whenever you're ready.
Yeah. Anybody that wants to, hopefully this can blow up and we can reach a lot of people. But it's not necessarily just about us. It's about the things that have shaped us, the people that have influenced us, the things that make us who we are. And I think that's worth sharing with the world. Because like I said, we know some amazing people that are in all different professions and all different walks of life. And it to me, it doesn't matter what you do job-wise or how much money you have, but I feel like everyone, if I have a cool story that matters to me, then other people have a just as cool a story, if not cooler. And we're just normal people. So imagine what we can find. Imagine what we can share. So that's my fourth. So anyway.
Well said. I agree.
That's it, bro.
That's it, man.
In the means of brevity, Shakespeare said, brevity is the soul of wit. So I think for now, we'll keep them short and sweet.
Sounds like a plan.
Because we can go for hours. But if we don't stop, we'll never stop.
Can't stop, won't stop.
This was great.
Awesome, brother. All right,
like always. What'd you say?
I said, love you, brother.
I love you too, brother.
All right.